improving blood flow to the brain, to the body, our organs, our muscles, seems like something we could all benefit from for the most part. Nitric oxide does just that. And in short, boosting nitric oxide, and for those of you who want the gist of the video before we get deep into the science, boosting nitric oxide not only enhances mental and physical performance and benefits heart health, but it also has a positive effect on mood and cognition in general. And we'll talk about why at the end. So what are some foods that could help to increase nitric oxide levels without delving into the pathways yet? There are a few different ones. Well, leafy greens, definitely. Beets, garlic, meat, poultry, seafood, dark chocolate, citrus fruits, watermelon would be another one, pomegranate, red wine. Those are some good examples of foods that, whether it be due to their CoQ10 or citrulline content or antioxidants, that can improve blood flow to the brain and body by boosting nitric oxide levels. And most of them are good for you in other regards anyway. So what are some supplements you could take to boost nitric oxide that actually work? Because there are a lot of supplements marketed for boosting nitric oxide, giving you that pump, right? That's one thing in the pre-workouts that's responsible for giving somebody a pump. Not that boosting nitric oxide should only be considered in terms of ergogenic enhancement or physical performance, endurance, and strength and recovery enhancement, right? But also for the other reasons aforementioned. Top two, I would say, according to the research in human clinical trials, would be citrulline and actually curcumin. Curcumin's just like a magical supplement. Great for reducing inflammation, one of the most potent anti-inflammatories, improving joint pain and joint mobility in OA patients. It's great stuff, right? So, citrulline is another one. You find a lot of citrulline in watermelon. So that was the big thing with watermelon we just mentioned, how it would increase nitric oxide. And aside from those, we've seen small increases in human trials in things like cocoa, L-carnitine, CoQ10. I'm sure you've heard of coenzyme Q10. Also fish oil, garlic, and arginine, but only for a short period of time in terms of arginine, right? Now, why is that? Why take citrulline over arginine? We've talked about this here at When Wellness. Well, let's go through the pathway. So it goes citrulline, converted to arginine, converted into nitric oxide. Okay? Another pathway that we get nitric oxide through would be the nitrate pathway. That's nitrates are converted to nitrites, are converted to nitric oxide. You find nitrates in high amounts in beets. And, beetroot is a common supplement for the purpose of boosting nitric oxide. Leafy greens have a lot of nitrates, right? So these are things that'll improve blood flow in general, right? But you can get there in two different ways. Now, I'm sure there are other ways throughout the body. Those are the most commonly spoken of pathways in terms of boosting nitric oxide levels. So in terms of nitrates, are we going to find those in supplements? Probably not. Strict regulations on sodium nitrates, which are very different from nitrates that you find in these foods we just talked about, because sodium nitrates have harmful effects on our health. Once you process something, once you add something to it, anytime you process something under heat, right, any additives and all this crap, that's where you go wrong, right? You don't have to understand much about the science to know that if it's not in its natural form, it's likely not going to be good for you long term, right? And so there are strict regulations against sodium nitrates you'll find in processed meats and, salami and bacon and all that kind of crap. Just a lot of processed foods in general. And so you don't really see them in supplements, right? I don't know that it's legal really to put nitrates anywhere in supplements. But in terms of the other nitric oxide pathway that we're talking about, citrulline, arginine, nitric oxide, citrulline versus arginine. Well, we said citrulline shows moderate increases in nitric oxide. Time and time again, that's been replicated. Citrulline malate is a common supplement that provides improved physical performance, mental performance, blood flow, improved mood, something that's fantastic. You're combining malic acid, an intermediate in the Krebs cycle, with citrulline, the amino acid in this pathway. So you're improving blood flow, giving you energy. That's a common thing. Arginine alpha-ketoglutarate is another really common supplement touted for the same purposes, right? The same benefits. But what's the difference? Well, citrulline's earlier in the pathway. Typically, we like something earlier in the pathway. We give it to the body. We let it do what it will with it. Citrulline doesn't have to go through this pathway. It can be involved in many other pathways. Another example would be, that of ammonia elimination, right? Converting ammonia into urea. Okay, and speaking of that pathway, when you ingest arginine, it has a high what we call first-pass metabolism, meaning a lot of it is degraded in the intestines and in the liver and in the stomach. It's metabolized before it can reach tissues and have this effect of boosting nitric oxide. Whereas when we take citrulline, well, citrulline has a lower first-pass metabolism and better bioavailability than arginine. We're absorbing more. We're getting more nitric oxide production, bang for our buck, with citrulline supplementation as opposed to arginine. Now, this arginine promotes the release of something called arginase. It's an enzyme that breaks down arginine in the stomach and intestines, if you guys were curious how, and puts it through the urea pathway, where arginine will be converted into ornithine and then urea, right? And that doesn't really pose much benefit towards increasing nitric oxide as it does, the urea pathway, right? And so citrulline is definitely a better option. Having said that, arginine has been shown to increase nitric oxide levels for a relatively transient period. So it will increase them, just not for as long as citrulline. So an inferior nitric oxide booster, in my opinion. So that's what we got for you guys. Now you know some natural foods and supplements that can help to improve blood flow in your body. And we said before, also these nitric oxide boosters often have a positive effect on mood, very interestingly. Why on mood? We're talking about blood flow. Well, it seems like if you were improving blood flow to the brain, that's going to deliver more what? Oxygen and nutrients and water. That's a good thing, right? So I would think you'll feel good from that. But more specifically, it affects neurotransmission. That's brain chemicals that are involved in cell signaling and make our brain feel different things, or at least make our brain tell our body to feel different things. And examples are monoamines, which are highly regulated by nitric oxide, actually. And examples of monoamines would be serotonin, or the catecholamines, dopamine, norepinephrine, epinephrine, okay? And so dopamine is responsible for making us feel pleasure and involved in the reward circuit and motivation, right? Serotonin is our happy hormone / neurotransmitter, right? So they both make you feel really good, and upregulating them would obviously be something that would benefit mood. This is something that nitric oxide can do, right? Now also has effects on norepinephrine and even glutamate. And glutamate's a major excitatory neurotransmitter, right? So, and the way that it affects both of them is apparently pretty complicated, but so it's not even worth diving into. I would have had to read for hours and hours and hours, just too much, But the point is, it affects them in a way that benefits our mood, right? Why is that a complicated thing? Well, because, typically you would think something that would increase glutamate might be over-excitatory, over-stimulating, if you will, in terms of cognitive function and mood and behavior, right? But nitric oxide boosts these things and decreases them in a balancing manner where it benefits mood, right? Now, what was I going to say? Something else that would, increase serotonin and dopamine and benefit mood, that's a simple amino acid that could be taken, would be L-theanine, right? Something that would increase levels of GABA, also theanine does that, would be something like magnesium and lemon balm and passion flower and chamomile, all these other things that help to relax us. And, when we play on the side of GABA over glutamate, well, that's kind of giving us more relaxation. So it's interesting with nitric oxide that it's playing a little more on the side of glutamate, right? But not in an overbearing sense where it will make you feel anxious or typically anything of that nature. Now, it totally depends on the dosage as well that you would have. But without talking to you guys about this all day, because I absolutely love it, I think it's super fascinating, that's all the important stuff. Watch the first, 2 minutes if you just want to know some foods you can eat and supplements that are good for improving blood flow, boosting nitric oxide, having a beneficial effect on cognition and mood and, whatnot. Happy birthday, Ben Tempest. Happy birthday, you absolute beast. Water buffalo is what I think of when I think of you, that's for sure. And, a strong countryman, just, country strong. I feel like it's true. You know, that was that was evidence on the rugby field, and you know, you're out living in where is it now? Are you Montana, Wyoming, something like that? You know, to me, the whole Midwest is kind of the same. I've always been in this bubble on the East Coast, at least, you know, when I wasn't at school at Palmer. But nonetheless, I love it out there. I love that style, that lifestyle, you know. And you seem like you're living a great life. You have a beautiful daughter. I was looking at pictures before, and you know, I hope you have the best day today, man. I really do. This is absolutely your day in the Book of Wen Wellness. So go enjoy it. Also, a very kind-hearted fellow is Ben Tempest. Cartar. Carnitine, yep. What's the difference? Carnitine tartrate and carnitine acetyl L-carnitine, or you know, carnitine L-tartrate. Carnitine L-tartrate is more for improving physical performance, around 1 to 4 grams common dosage. Alcar, acetyl L-carnitine HCl, also known as, is something that crosses the blood-brain barrier, and so could help to enhance cognition, as well as provide these other benefits. Right? Propanoyl L-carnitine is a big blood flow improver, I believe, and the dosages are all different. Alcar, it's like 675 milligrams to 2.5 grams in a day, something like that. So that's what we got. Oh, you got it. Gino, what's up, man? I miss you, dude. I was thinking about you today. When do you and Natalie want to play poker virtually? And I'll make Veronica play as well. Non-consensually. With my money. So, it'll be okay. Play money if I can get in trouble for that. Hey, Jesus! Yanez! Vien Min Goyen. Thien Minin Goyen. Thank you for coming on, my friend. Marlon, Berlin Bad. What's up? Who's having a great Sunday today? The duo couple. Fabiola Hernandez. Thank you for hopping on. Very familiar. Oh, Charlie, I appreciate that so much. Thank you. George Pineda. RMRX. Insta Aaron. Gino. Freaking Fiona. How you doing, girl? What's up? Starkey Brian. Julian Old PX. Shatangi. I am a Marg. I know, Ma. I love you. This one's for you, too. They all are. It's good because a lot of those foods, they're just great anyway, right? And I think they all pretty much taste great. With the red wine, we said red wine. That's probably due to its resveratrol content. We have to do a little more research there, but improving blood flow. And that's why they would say red wine is good for heart health. But, you know, a little bit. You could eat red grape skin. That would have resveratrol as well. So things high in antioxidants should bode well for nitric oxide production for the most part, or improving blood flow at least as well. You know, there are a lot of other things that have antioxidants. So blueberries are great. D. Sharon. Holly, what's up? How you doing? Walsa. And the first one of the day, Zathebes. Thank you for coming on, my friend. Happy Sunday to you, as well as once for you. I hope you boost your nitric oxide, so long as you're not taking any medications or anything that say you shouldn't. And I hope you have a great day today. Happy Sunday. As for now, that's all we got for you, folks. We'll see you tomorrow, baby. Not sure where, not sure when, but we'll see you then. Have a great one. Thanks so much, and happy Wen Wellness. We'll see you guys.